Welcome to a few things that fascinate me. Today is October 7th. The first thing I like to discuss is the social tolerance towards political campaigns every fall. But when businesses or people attempt to market themselves, people tend to get really impatient about it. So what kind of fascinates me is, why do people tolerate the hit over the head marketing that politicians plague us on TV, radio, the mail, and on nearly every street corner and sidewalk and possible green space with signs for their election? But if someone were to approach you about a business, or when Mormons or any of these other types of groups try to reach out, and people are usually incredibly impatient about it and really don't like to engage. But somehow every September and October, when all these politicians are trying to vie for your vote, people seem, while they don't love it, they seem tolerant, because we don't really do anything to minimize the number of ads that are put out there, the number of mailings that get sent, or how things can be put up on the side of the road. And I think that's kind of interesting. Having lived in Vermont in the past, I mean, billboards are not allowed on the sides of highways, but yet you can see signs for everyone who's trying to run for local office, who's trying to run for national office. So it's just kind of interesting why signs for elections are permissible, but signs for marketing a business like a hotel or restaurant or things like that are considered an eyesore. I guess to me, one is just as much like the other, so I don't really understand why we as a population body consider it two separate things. So another thing that fascinates me is that I'm an avid fan of legal and police dramas like Law and Order SVU, Criminal Minds, NC, or things like that. And based on my observation in these shows, many crimes end up with the person that did the murder, the rape, things like that. They either get killed while they're trying to be caught, or when they do get caught and they're facing their sentences, it seems like the punishment is often disproportionate to the crimes they did. And I think that tends to be seen in sports as well as a variety of other settings as well. And I would venture to suggest that for those so we have death row for people that afflict a certain crime that we consider to be so brutal or grotesque that either they can never get out, or that life in prison is inadequate. But if you think, for a lot of the people that are on death row, their crimes are oftentimes worse than the form of death they're being sentenced to. I mean, for the most part, unless it's a new drug being rolled out, or you're using the electric chair or using the firing range, most of the methods to execute someone is reasonably humane. It's reasonably fast. Yet, the way a lot of these people got on death row is not from something that was painless. And likewise, a lot of athlete punishments when they commit a brutal penalty or a foul, or when they injure someone. Usually their punishment might be a suspension for a game, or a week, or a fine. And I would venture to maybe suggest that the punishment should match the crime or the act that the victim suffered. So in the case of an athlete, if because of a high hit you give a player a concussion, maybe the athlete that committed that foul or penalty should be suspended for as long as the person they injured is out. So if the person that got injured because of a head injury is out for 6 months because they have post-concussive symptoms and all the things like that, then the athlete that committed the penalty should be out as long. Because it doesn't seem fair that a player that got fouled or got hit should be out for 6 months while the person that committed the penalty is out for 2 games or 6 games or something like that. It just doesn't seem like it's a fair and equal punishment. So going back to the kind of a Law and Order example, if someone is considered to have committed a crime as awful as to be needed to be on death row, maybe the punishment should be similarly equal to the crime that they got put there for. Anyway, so my last thing that kind of is on my mind that fascinates me is time management. It's an interesting and oh so complex thing to manage. It's really amazing how a series of seemingly simple tasks can end up consuming most of the workable hours of a day, leaving larger projects that take large blocks of time where it takes a little time to get going, to build up some momentum, where the imagination and innovation can come out. Where it doesn't necessarily come out after 10 or 15 minutes of work. It takes a little bit of tinkering, a little bit of testing things out before some of the good ideas begin happening. I find that the ability to find the blocks of time is difficult. And oftentimes, the work where I need to get larger projects done happens in the parts of the day where most people are in bed, because then it's uninterrupted time. I know I won't be getting phone calls from people at 1 in the morning. I know I won't have to answer emails that are coming in. My attention and focus is solely on the project, which doesn't necessarily always help with work-life balance, because you're working according to the demands of the people during normal business hours, let's say 8 in the morning to 6 p.m., and then you may have a family life commitment, things like that. And then your work is basically from 8 or 9 p.m. until 2, 3 in the morning, and then it begins all over again at 6 or 7 in the morning. So, these are just a few of the things that fascinate me today. I'm sure more will come up in my mind tomorrow, Wednesday, October 8th. And I will try to post another video then. So, thank you for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.